Hi, it's Callum again from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this time we've got the handover video on the Auto Trail XL 620G. So starting on the driver's side of the motorhome first, the first point you get to is this black lever here, and this is your wastewater outlet. So this is any water that you've used and that's gone down the plugs of the sink, the shower or the hand basin, or anything else you may have drained off via a plug hole, goes into this waste tank, and on the way out of your site you'll drive over a grid, a gully, or as close to a hedge or the waste disposal point that they want you to, and you want to pull it open and you want to allow your water to be drained off the vehicle, because you don't want to drive around with the added weight of waste water, because once it's dirty there's nothing you can do with it. All it's going to do is it's going to eat up space in your payload by adding weight to the vehicle, which means you can't put as much stuff on board, and it's going to use more fuel as it's going to be heavier. So release the waste, get rid of it, and in the winter as well, when you're winterizing, make sure that this is left open so that any water that's in there, which should be drained down, but if there's anything left in there, it will have a chance to drain out. To hook the vehicle up to mains, this is your mains hookup point. So you've got a wheel flap which slides up, you get your hookup lead, lift the collar on the hookup lead to expose the connection, connect it onto the vehicle, then connect the sight and do it in reverse order when unhooking, or if you're hooking at home as well, same principle applies, do it in reverse order. Always hook the van first, then connect it to the live power. Using the habitation key, which is this round headed key here, you can open all your external locks, this one being the toilet. So you push both in, lift the handle and release the toilet. Once the cassette's out, you can then carry it, or you can wheel it to the disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block on site. And to empty, it's as easy as unscrewing the cap and making it look like this so it's exposed. Start to tip the contents out and press the button and pour the cassette liquid out. Once you've done that, put some water in, because there's normally a tap there, give it a rinse, tip out again, and then your grey cap is a measuring stick of 120 ml, so you can measure blue or green chemical into there and tip it into here, or you can pour what you think's about 120 ml into here, pop the cap back on and push it back into the vehicle, and you can use it. If the cassette ever didn't come out, it's because your blade on the bottom bowl of the toilet, which will show you inside, is left open. But I'll explain how to use a toilet when on board. Blue tap just under behind the wheel there, in front of the wheel even. This is your freshwater drain off point. So if you have taken on a source of contaminated water, or you drain it down for the winter, you'll want to open the blue tap there, which just turns and releases your freshwater tank, drains that down, so that no water could sit in there and freeze in the colder temperatures. You've also got an exhaust for your heater, so you can feel heat there now, but sometimes you'll be able to see a little bit of white smoke. Don't panic, it's nothing bad, it's just the burner of the gas fumes coming out of the vehicle. To fill the van with fresh water, you'll need to carry a hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap provided by your site. You need to connect it to this tap, put the flat end of the hose between the two grooves here, and that'll hold the hose, and it's always a flat end in the van, so you don't need to put any connection to this side. Fill it with water, wait until it overflows, or you look on board your control panel and think that is enough water on board. However, if you can't get a hose pipe to the vehicle, and you bring in a drum of water, an aqua roll or a bucket, you've got a point here for a wheel submersible pump. So that's a power point. Hose for the pump goes in there, hose goes into the water, and it'll suck the water out of the drum into the freshwater tank if you can't get a hose near. External cold water fed shower. So if you want to hose the dogs off, the bikes, the boots, the kids, this just pushes off. Similar hose pipe fitting, connects one end, on the other end you've got a trigger gun, so you can hose what you need off, and that is just cold water. Storage in the garage, with it being the G model, it does have the garage with having the transverse bed, so you've got a lot of storage in here, which is heated there. We've got the heating on, red hot in here. You've got your Ford toolkit down there as well. I'll just crawl over here and explain what these points are. So you've got the fuse spur, which says boiler, which is your 240 side to your boiler system. So if you're hooking it up and you've drained it down for the winter and you didn't want to accidentally switch the heating on to heat the water, you can turn that off. But if you ever go to the panel and you can't select the electric side on the water heater, it's probably because you've left this turned off. 230 volt socket as well, and the light for the garage is just down here. So with the panel on, that will turn the lights on inside the van. But located just down here, you've got a toggle, which is a orange toggle, and this is your underslung boiler. So it's very important when winterizing that you drain your boiler down, and to do that you just need to turn it this way without the pump on, turn it to the back bumper of the van, and what that'll do is it'll allow the 10 litres of water it stores to drain directly out, and it'll mean that it'll not store any water because you've opened the system, and it'll drain everything out and leave it protected for the winter. When you come to reuse it, just turn it so it's pointing to the driver's side of the van, and then you can start filling it back up with water. But it's very important that you drain it off in the winter, because your warranties don't cover frost damage. It's your responsibility as the customer to protect your vehicle from frost damage. On the back of the van, you've got your high level brake light and rear view camera, and you've also got two bars on the back panel where it's been strengthened to take a bike rack. So it takes a Thule bike rack on the back. You do have in this corner here, this is a breather for your water heater. So if that starts dripping, don't panic. It is a condensing boiler and that will drip from time to time, but that's just to allow a breather for the water heater. LPG, so liquid petroleum gas. This is your gas locker. Again, opens with the same habitation key. Push top and bottom in and you'll be able to get into your gas locker. This is my bottle that I've got on now to test the appliances and show you how everything works, but it fits two 6 kilogram propane bottles in the gas locker. So what you need to do is, the pigtail fitted, this one is a thumb wheel. So left to tighten, right to loosen, opposite ways with it being gas. Tighten it on with you until it's as tight as you can get it, and then what you want to do is you want to open the bottle 1 or 2 turns. You always want to ensure that the bottle is tied in, so once the bottle's there and it's staying on the van, you'd put the tie around the bottle just so it's safe for when you start travelling. So tie it in and then just loop that back on itself. Always ensure that you turn the bottle off before you start travelling, so it's safer for you and other road users. And when one bottle's empty or you're not getting gas through, that may indicate that the bottle's empty. If you're carrying a second, you can just change the pigtail from the empty bottle to the reserve. But always use propane, because propane doesn't freeze in the winter, whereas butane, which is blue, will freeze in the winter. And it's known as summer gas, and the motorhome is designed to run on orange, which is propane. Coming further down, you do have your external gas point. So instead of carrying a separate bottle for your barbecue or your Cadillac, you've got a point here where you can connect to. So you've got a connection here, which is a quick release connection. So the ribbed end goes on is some orange hose, so you'll have to get a length of that, and the short end goes into here. 2 Jubilee clips on either side to connect it. You'll be able to turn the red tap to allow the gas to come to this point, and you'll be able to do some outdoor cooking when the weather's nice. Habitation door is central locking, so all you need to do is press the middle forward button on the key, the lock, and that's locked. Top to open the cab, bottom to open the passenger door, the habitation door. But what you'll need to do with it being a 4 is always open the cab door to stop the van from relocking itself, because it doesn't see the habitation door with it being made as a chassis cab. So you need to open the door, close it, know someone's got into the cab, and then it'll not lock itself. Cab door of the passenger door, you do have your easy fill diesel system, so no cap, just put your diesel nozzle in there and fill. It's a 70 litre diesel tank. And underneath you do have an AdBlue. So it takes AdBlue, 24 litres of AdBlue from empty, does 5,500 miles on a full tank of AdBlue. So once you've done about 4,500, you'll get a 1,000 mile countdown. You can buy this, it's available at most petrol stations. Buy it on the pump is a lot cheaper than buying it in the drums. Drums you'll be charged for 10 litres £30, whereas it's about £1.20 a litre. So if you can, go to your big service station, buy it on the pump, and it might just be a job you do once a year depending on how many miles you're planning on covering. But that's your AdBlue, but it will indicate on the dash, and you can see on the Ford the level of AdBlue in that's on board at any time. To turn your seats, you've got bars here, little half bar. You will have to pull it forward and then release the bar and turn the seats, and that's both driver and passenger. And then open the cab. With it being a Ford, it does require its key just above the Ford badge here. Turn that to your left to pop the bonnet, and then to take it off its second catch and release it to the right. And under here you've got your various fluids, but the main one you're going to always need is your screen wash, oil, brake fluid, dipstick for checking your levels, coolant. With the cab engine battery being underneath the driver's seat like it always is on a Transit, there's no battery underneath the bonnet, but there is jumping points. So positive, negative on the side here, just give that a good scrub to get a good earth. And then you do have your weight plate here, so 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight. If you put a tow bar on this, you can tow a ton, so it can go to 4.5 ton train weight, and you've got your front and back axle weights. So to operate the control panel, what you need to do is you need to press the on button, and it'll bring you straight into the home page. So when you first get on the vehicle, you'll want to put lights on. So if you click lighting, you've got your main interior lights, which are all then individually switched around the van, and you've got your outside awning light, which you can turn on. You can also change the percentage of dimmer, and you can press the dim, and you can dim your dimmable lights which are fitted to the vehicle. Power, you can see that your leisure battery, because it's got a picture of a trailer, leisure battery is 95% charged, and the current voltage is 13.7 volts. That is a false reading, because as you can see here, it's showing that we're hooked up. So take the hook out to get a true reflection of what charge is in your leisure battery. And the current coming into the battery is 9.6 amp. You can scroll along and you can see your vehicle battery. So it's saying vehicle, got a picture of a truck there, vehicle battery, good. And it's saying it's 12.5. If you wanted to charge your vehicle battery, which some people like to do over the winter when it's standing, and alternate between vehicle and leisure, you just press here and it'll come and say charging. And then you can see that's gone up, so it's receiving some charge. Current solar panel ampage to the leisure battery is 0.0 amps, because what happens is when you hooked up, the solar panel can't compete with that charge that mains electric's bringing in, so it does go to sleep. And it'll tell you the estimated time to charge your battery, your percentage of battery, and your capacity. So if we go back to the leisure there, so to get that full, it'll take 1 hour, it'll take 50 minutes now even. The health's 100% and it's 66 amp hours. Water, click on water and you can view your fresh water reading. So you can see that your fresh water is 50% full on your fresh. If you're using it over the winter, And to stop the water from freezing when using it, it's fitted with tank heaters, so you can turn your tank heaters on here, and you've got heated tanks on the fresh and the wastewater. So you can turn them on and off here if it's going to potentially go to freezing temperatures overnight. Making sure your pump's on, you'll get a pressurised flow of water to the taps, toilet and shower. Don't put the pump on if you haven't got any water on board, because you'll burn the element out on the pump and the motor. And this is your waste water levels there as well. So you can see there it's showing 0% waste because your waste is not full. Let's go along the environment. You can view the internal temperature, the internal humidity and the external temperature there. And then you go into settings and you can turn off your key beep. So if it's beeping, just where it says key beep, you can turn that on and off. Sometimes it's a bit annoying. And you can view all your settings through here. And then if you just do go into help at the top of the panel, it'll tell you which each button does, which is quite handy if you ever get stuck. It tells you what the lighting does, the power, the water and the pump and the environment. So to operate your heating and hot water, it's fitted with a whale heat air system. So it's whale that provide the heating and hot water, and all you need to do is wave your hands past the controls. As they're motion sensitive, they will react to movement. And you do have your hot water and heating, so separate dials. You can't really go wrong because one's wavy lines which indicates heat, and one's a water drop which indicates water. So starting off with the water, so frost start, which is the snowflake, which keeps the water above freezing at 5 degrees. Then you've got 40 degrees of water, or 60, which is the boost setting at the bottom. So if you want the hotter water, make sure it's all the way around with the plus and the minus. If you want it just a little bit cooler, you're not bothered about how hot the water is, you can have it on 40. But we'll say 60 for this. And then depending on what source you want to use, so it's either gas or electric. So if you're well camping, you would have no other option but to use gas. So you'd press the gas flame there. Blue means I've selected it. Once it pulls the gas through and starts operating on gas, it will go to orange. So I've selected it, it's on standby there of gas. Give that a moment or two and that will go orange and start to operate on gas. If you weren't well camping and you were on a site, you wouldn't bother using the gas, you'd use your electric because you've paid your site fees after all. So you'd press electric, and again blue means on standby, orange means that they're both on. And you can have them on together should you be in desperate need for hot water. But with the electric, so we'll knock the gas off a moment and we'll explain the electric mode. So you've got 3 little dots, so press and hold. 1 dot is 750 watt, which equivalents to 6 amp being drawn. 2 dots is 1500 watts, which equivalent to 10 amp being used. And 3 dots is 3000 watts, which is a 16 amp feed. I've got a reset button under here, so if you ever get a red exclamation mark, you can reset it here by pressing and holding the reset button. And then now for the heating, so you've got plus and a minus. Frost start keeps the interior temperature above 5 degrees. Picture of the moon there, which is known as nighttime mode, which keeps the van at 15 degrees. And then all the way around to 30 degrees maximum heat. Gas if you're wild camping and you weren't hooked up, because that would be the only source you'd be able to heat the vehicle off. That will go to orange once it's selected and operating. Blue is standby, so you've selected it, give it a moment and it will light. Electric, obviously 3 modes. 750 watts on 6 amp. 1500 watts, 10 amp, and 3000 watts, which is a 16 amp feed. So you've got 6, 10, or 16. So depending on what your site offers you, some smaller CL sites you might have to use 1 or 2, so 10 or 6, and on bigger sites you can use 16 on 3. But by all means you can run the gas and electric together on both sources if you're away in the winter and it's cold, to get the vehicle up to temperature inside, and the water, if you're in desperate need of a shower, you can put them both on together to reduce the time it takes to heat the water or the vehicle. To make your half dinette into the occasional single bed, what you need to do is you need to lift your table off and fold your leg and pop that to one side for a moment. Take your base cushion off, and what happens here is there's a little catch, so you want to unclip that and unclip this one here, and this will slide forward. There's also a leg, so you push that in and the leg supports the front. This folds over. This is also where your leisure battery is. So that folds over. This goes back on. The infill cushions that can be found around the vehicle. So you've got 2 here first. One will go in here like that. There's another which is shaped, L-shaped. That'll go on there, but what you need to do now is the table now comes into its use. So it clips onto this rail here. So lifts on, clips on, and rests upon the door bin. This will now go onto here, like that. And then this big cushion will go at the back here. And there you have made your single bed. So if you have a look at it from my side, there is your single occasional bed. So this, unclip this, fold it forward, leg down, table on, cushions on, and there is another bed at the front of the vehicle out of the half dinette on the XL range. So underneath the dinette seat is the location of your leisure battery. So you do have a 70 amp hour lithium deep cycle battery there with a 30 amp master fuse. So that's your main leisure battery. Just underneath your double dinette seat. Underneath the fascia of your dinette seat, you can open this and this drops down, and behind here is your Sargent EC 700 power supply unit. So you've got a black button here which says system shutdown button, and what that does is it will stop any power drain from the leisure battery, and it acts as a battery cut-off switch. So if you're storing it or anything like that, you might want to turn that off. But if you do turn that off, it will stop the radio and reversing camera working on the accent head unit, and your solar panel putting any charge into your batteries. So do be aware that if you go to reverse the van, you're wondering why the camera or the radio is not working. If you've turned that off, that is why. This side you've got all your 12 volt fuses, so they will show a red light underneath the fuse if it has blown. I would personally carry some spare fuses with you just in case the fuse does blow. You can replenish the fuse when you're away and you don't have to interrupt your holiday. You can get packs of normal blade fuses on likes of Amazon or eBay quite cheaply now. This side you've got your charger and your heating and hot water. So these are fuse spurs, so you can turn them on and off by turning them off like so. but I would just leave them on. They will react to when the vehicle is hooked up, unless you are leaving it hooked up in the winter and you don't want the heating and hot water 230 side to work. In case somebody puts it on, you can turn that off. And under here you've got your main trip, so your RCD and your MCBs, which will work various appliances. So it shows there that the 3 MCBs, and it does show all of your 12 volt fuses here. So like I say, carry some spares just in case you need them. Sliding the passenger cab seat forward, you've got your EM56 interface fuses. So these are fuses which cross over between the leisure side of the vehicle and the engine side of the vehicle, such as your electric step fuse, your awning light, your en route USBs, your towing electrics if you want to have them fitted, there is already wired, towing permanent live, your fridge element fuse and your vehicle battery fuse, which are all under here. So again, carry some spares with you just in case you do need them, and you can replenish the fuse here. It'll also work your marker lights, so if your marker lights ever go off, it'll be a fuse which is under here. So in the kitchen, you do have 3 gas burner hob. So you'll be able to ignite with the ignition built into the front of the oven. Always make sure that the lid's far enough back, and once you've finished, allow them to cool before you put the lid down, just so that you don't smash the glass. Underneath is where you can find the grill. So you've got your grill there. And then underneath your grill, you do have your oven. If you need any parts for the oven, grill or hob, your sticker is here with your model details on. Large cabinet, push in the middle to release the clip, and you've got a large amount of storage along the top. Little handy shelf there to put your bits and pieces in. Push the catches in and you'll be able to open the drawers with the slide out cutlery tray. Push in to lock, and that will be safe to travel. Large pan drawer and a large cupboard at the bottom for your storage. Worktop extension is on the side, so if you just push that in, it'll pop out. You'll be able to pull it out. And then to drop it back down, you just need to press these buttons in on either side. So 2 hands required for this job. Push both buttons in, drop it down, and then push it in. Beside the habitation door, you do have a 230 volt socket, so that'll work when hooked up, and your lights. And then underneath here as well, you do have your kitchen light. So you've got your counter above the counter and underneath the counter, and your main kitchen window light. So at the back of the 620G, you've got a raised transverse bed which goes from wall to wall width of the vehicle, with a ladder here which clips on. Underneath though is where you'll find your wardrobe space, so you've got some handy shelves for storage and a large hanging rail. So this is your wardrobe space. At the back there is obviously a garage which is accessible from outside either side of the vehicle. Got all your switches here, your individual readers which have USBs on, so you can plug your phone charging leads into there and store them in the handy stowaways there. Storage along the back, a TV point and 12 volt point for a 12 volt telly. So you can put a telly onto here if you want, so you can have a telly in the back. Skylight for on a summer's night when you want a bit of ventilation with fly screen, and on the other side coming this way you do have a blackout blind. Same with all windows and and skylights on this vehicle. Your freestanding table can be found here, so that's hidden away, so you can put that at the front of the vehicle, or if it's nice outside you can take that outside with you. So on your hot water system, once you open the tap, this is just showing that your water system's working, it's pressurising, and your hot water is hot there. As you can see, the steam coming off it, that is very warm, so your water has got up the temperature. So stepping into the washroom, to operate your toilet, Ensure that the pump's turned on, and you'll be able to press the blue button here, which is your flush button. So your toilet does turn. Press the blue button. Put a small amount of water in the toilet before you use it. This helps lubricate the seal between the ball of the toilet and the top of the cassette, so it doesn't stick. And then before you use it, you want to open the blade, which is this grey handle here. So that slides to the right. You can use the toilet. Once you've finished using the toilet, you'd obviously give it a good flush. If you've bought the blue and pink chemical, the pink isn't needed because it's a freshwater fed cistern, unlike some other motorhomes and caravans where you have a separate header tank. However, you can still use it, but all you need to do is put in a spray bottle and spray the bowl, because you can't put it into the water system because it's fed to the shower and all taps. So you'd spray, flush, and then when the toilet indicates that it's full, the cassette, you'll get 3 green lights underneath this diagram here on the back wall of the toilet to say that it is full. And that means you can, as long as it's shut, which get into a habit of shutting it, you'll be able to slide it straight out the side of the van and use, empty, replenish, and put it back in to use the toilet. Toilet roll holder, push the catch in there and you do have some toiletry space and some more toiletry space here. Shower curtain, which comes across. But on the door you do have a towel rail as well, and a hanging rail for some towels or your dressing gowns. Kitchen tap is also your shower head. So press here and you'll be able to get a pressurized flow of water. And stop there. And that is your hot water there coming through. It's getting nice and warm. And then for the shower, it just pulls out. And it's handheld, and you'll be able to have a shower and then feed the pipe back down into here. But when winterizing, in the winter, to stop any water from freezing in here, pull this out, unscrew the shower head from the hose and lie the hose down in the shower tray. And it just means that you can leave the tap open when you've drained all your water system down, and no water is going to freeze in here and cause any damage to this pipe. It's also good that you leave all mixer taps open, so do it for the kitchen tap as well. One thing I will say about all the washroom, it's all plastic lined, so do just be careful with what you wash and clean the shower tray, toilet, sink with and surrounding walls, because you will damage the finish if you use anything harsh like bleach or any scourers. I personally would use some Dettol spray or some flash spray or wipes. Don't use any bleach products and don't use any harsh abrasive scourers. Use a microfiber cloth, or just as simple as a little bit of fairy up liquid on a cloth and clean it all out.